back. Game number 2 of our Western Grand Finals. Team Liquid leads the series 1-0. Both teams vying for their spots in Vegas coming up in January. Elder Titan and Venomancer sneak through the first couple of picks for Team Liquid. Fnatic not about to give Koik for Clinks once again, and actually just read an interesting stat from Nahaz. He tweeted it out. You should follow him on Twitter, by the way. His name, it's at Nahaz Dota. Always tweets out cool stats at the end of every game. He does stats for us. Koikva is averaging 600 GPM on Clinks in more than 10 appearances. That's kind of disgustingly good, and Fnatic on the bad end of that in Game 1. Not going to let it happen again as they ban him out and snag the Nature's Prophet and Alchemist for themselves. To break down the draft and, of course, lend his insight and analysis for the rest of the game, welcome in once again Ben Merlini-Woolen. You know, coming into this, I talked a bit about it, and I think you and I are basically in agreement. Liquid is really came into this in the eyes of most as the underdog against Fnatic, but when you looked at the recent slide they've been on, it's tough to really look at that and say, well, you know, they've lost a bunch, but it doesn't mean they're playing bad. They're just playing very good competition.
Yeah, and I think they actually match up very well versus Fnatic, though their play style seems to be very good at avoiding the 5-man from Fnatic and out-farming them. They're a very greedy team, and it definitely pays off when Fnatic can't actually force 5-on-5 engagements. And although both teams' play styles is relatively predictable, Liquid just seems to always have the upper hand on Fnatic, and Fnatic just has a real hard time coping with the strategy. If you can't keep they couldn't keep Clinks down last game. They couldn't win their tri-lane. And yeah, Honey's in mid, but he can't really do that much as a Venomancer. So they lost both their lanes in top and bottom. And then after the haste route in mid, they lost all 3 lanes. So Fnatic needs to work on their lane control a little bit. Nature's Prophet, a very good pickup for Fnatic. I think this is much better draft for them already. Although giving him Elder Titan, never like that in the draft.
Well, one thing I already don't like about the way Fnatic is going to stack up against Liquid is when you see a Prophet, a Chen, and an Alchemist, that's the beginning of a push lineup, not the beginning of a push lineup. That's the core of a push lineup. And yes, they're going to have the split push with Nature's Prophet's mobility. But, you know, Alchemist great with Acid Spray to add to a push, just make it tough for the enemy to stand under their own tower and defend. Shin, of course, don't need to explain why he's good at push. And Nature's Prophet able to overwhelm a Treants early on. But Liquid already has a formidable amount of anti-push in the Elder Titan pick and the Venomancer pick. I mean, when you think Elder Titan, you think a teamfight hero who can really stand on his own in an off lane, adds a lot. A lot of what I call under the hood advantage. There is no huge effect that you see, like no graphical effect, no diminishing of life bars, what have you, that coincides with just how big of an effect Natural Order happens to have. But he's one of those heroes, like it's a lot like offensive linemen in American football. The only stat they have that matters is the win column, and his win column certainly chock full of notches because of how strong the hero is. But he does give you a considerable amount of anti-push as well with Ancestral Spirit. That does a lot of damage to creep waves as you continue to max it up. Stomp is a great way to negate any kind of a guns forward approach, which is what Fnatic is most likely, or was most likely at the very least, looking to do with these front 3. Then you have the OD, a great team fight hero who's going to match up well against all of these heroes. Venomancer, if he decides to max Plague Wards, which is happens more often than not, great at anti-push as well. So Fnatic, I think, with these next 2 picks, is going to need to flesh out their lineup a little bit more. They need to have a little bit more versatility than what they have to deal with Liquid's front 4 so far.
Yeah, and their lane control isn't that great either. OD is most likely going to win his lane. Lich is most likely going to win his lane too. And if Elder Titan's in the off lane, which probably looks like what it's going to shape up to be, then he doesn't do poorly in most matchups. Yeah, in a 1-on-3 situation, he's probably going to lose, but in a 1-on-1 situation, he'll do perfectly okay. So I think that Liquid draft is definitely stronger. They have the stronger lane control, and as we saw from last game, if Fnatic gets off to a bad laning phase, it's really difficult for them to recover.
Absolutely. I mean, even looking at their lanes now, I mean, it's hard to tell if that's going to be a mid Alchemist or a farming Alchemist. I don't know that I like either of them all that much against this lineup. I mean, Alch certainly is going to give them the ability to fight, but again, what we have with these front 4 so far is not necessarily even a big 5-on-5 composition. And usually, if you want to farm an Alchemist, you want to get him a BKB up early. You want to get him something maybe even like a Shadow Blade if you want to go that direction. Maybe Russian Assault Cuirass if that's the direction you want to go. And try to take 5-on-5 engagements. And I just don't know that they're going to be able to do that. They really are going to be depending a lot on split push and, more importantly, early gank potential. Having the Nature's Prophet as a +1 to whatever lane he happens to land in going to be essential for them. Having Chin move around effectively early on, they're going to have to make sure they get some picks and they hold Liquid down early because they do have some snowball potential in the OD already, and we'll see what carry they want to snag up here. No Luna, no Weaver available. Those are two that are favored by TC, so he could end up going with something like a Gyrocopter, or hell, why don't we just pick a Slarder and say the hell with it?
To pick.
Well, it's they didn't need to ban out the Weaver if they're going to go with a Slardar pick, but Slardar, I mean, he's underrated, definitely. And he definitely owns Alchemist. So in a one-on-one situation, Slardar will just absolutely manhandle him because Alchemist has like no armor, firstly, and he has no like frost armor on his side. So and the bash war, Alchemist like doesn't get bashed until like maybe the third item at earliest, I'd say. Like Shadowblade, BKB, or it's usually one item and then BKB, like Midas, Shadowblade, or something like that. And actually, it looks like it's going to be a solo mid Alchemist with a Mirana carry. And yeah, Moonlight Shadow is nice, but they won't be able to escape with it with the Slardar ultimate. And yeah, they're still going to have a very difficult time in all three of their lanes, though. Elder Titan, if he's in the 1-on-3, he'll still get experience, and Nature's Prophet is not going to be able to stand up versus Tri-Lane 2. They'll just get zoned out. He'll just get zoned out by the Venomancer. So I think if they do 1-on-3 and 1-on-3 in both of their lanes, I think that both of the offlaners will break about even, but mid lane is going to be a really big deal too. Actually, Koifa is there, so it looks like a solo mid Elder Titan. Maybe it's just offlane Elder Titan and Koifa's playing mid as OD. That's probably more likely.
Yeah, I kind of touched on that a little bit when we were running through the lineups during the intro sequence. You know, there are a few teams who will do this. Some just flat out say no, whoever's in mid is going to be, you know, no matter what hero we send there, it's going to be played by this player. Liquid, though, they have no problem swapping Bulba and Koifa in terms of who plays mid and who plays offlane. Koifa usually the offlane player, but Bulba in certain situations as a clockwork. If they don't want to give him a mid clock, he'll certainly always move over to make room for Koifa. Koifa tends to play the Storm Spirit for Liquid as an example, and anytime they pick a Storm, you can bet on Koifa taking mid lane. But anyway, taking a look at Fnatic's lineup, it's not that it's bad by any stretch. They just absolutely have to execute in the first 20. This is one of those games where if Liquid gets any kind of an advantage going between 10 and 15 minutes, I really don't know how Fnatic's going to be able to come back. I mean, they do have two heroes who can make up a lot of distance in gold in the Nature's Prophet and the Alchemist, but at the same time, Liquid just has the ability to snowball completely out of control with this lineup, especially with the Slardar and the OD. And we've actually seen Liquid do that before, playing the Slardar. If he gets way ahead, especially against this kind of a team where a BKB is going to be utterly essential for Hani. Mirana generally doesn't want to build a BKB that often, and so Arrow will try to avoid that as much as he possibly can, but might even have to just to deal with how much lockdown Liquid's going to have just from the Slardar alone. And it doesn't look like either team's going to end up running into each other, so they're going to go ahead and pull back. We'll take a look through our lineups, starting with Fnatic, trailing the series 0-1. They've got Fly on our Rubik. Chen's going to be played by No Tail. Mirana going to be farmed up by Era. He's actually making his way up to the offlane, so it looks to be another offensive tri-lane coming out of the Radiant side. Nature's Prophet will be played solo lane by Trixie, so they're going to be looking to secure him a good start. And it will be Alchemist on handled by Hani here in mid. That does look like it's going to be the same look out of Liquid, though, running once again another offensive tri-lane. Fluff and Stuff will be on our Venomancer. TC will be farming up the Slardar. I just heard a smoke somewhere, and that would be Fluff and Stuff, so he's going to rotate elsewhere. Way2 will be on the Lich, giving a considerable amount of lane control and XP denial coming out of this off lane. Elsewhere, we see the Elder Titan played by Bulba. He'll be in the solo safe lane with, in mid, Koifa on the OD.
As you said, I think that Liquid having these flexible players like Koifa being a very excellent mid player as well as an excellent solo lane, side lane solo player really does open things up a lot because Fnatic, it's very predictable what they're going to do. Hani always going to go mid, and like you could even throw them for a loop and do something like Priestess of the Moon solo mid and Alchemist in the safe lane, although that's not very good versus an OD. Just having some sort of variance in your lineup and play can just work things out, can help things out a lot, and especially when you're having trouble as a team, just switching roles around may find you in your groove. Koikva gets lifted up.
And the stomp is on the mark, but no one around to contribute much more damage. Here, the charge coming on the Unstable Concoction. Don't think he's going to be able to catch him, but he certainly won't. So he'll
egg
just...
on the face, as you say.
Yep, little egg on his face, and that was just a little bit of miscommunication and mistiming coming out.
It was really good scouting by Quickfoot. He like sensed it out. He popped the smoke, and yeah, he got lifted. But Hani was already way behind the creep wave because he doesn't want to make it obvious that there's a gank coming. So he can't just like skip the creep wave. If he goes up past the creeps, Quickfoot obviously knows that there's a smoke gank.
Poor Trixie's going to have a hard time down here between Sacrifice coming out of Weitsu and how much burst damage he's going to be up against if he's caught out at all. I mean, basically, on a Nature's Prophet, he eats one Gale, he's dead. And
there's a rotation from Venomancer. They might see this gank coming. It's a very good heads up play. Wow, and the ward, Fluff and Stuff. What a player. They did have a ward up in this side. They had a observer ward over here, and I don't think they had any smokes in their inventory, so that was just a very, very smart play by Fluff, scouting out that gank. And now Boba, yeah, he's not going to get that much experience on top, but he didn't die, and delaying the movement of this Chen. Chen is still sitting at level 2 right now, which is not that bad, but Fly is level 1, and he will change that Centaur out for a Troll Summoner, but constantly throwing wards down level 1 on the Venomancer. And most Venomancers almost always skill Gale regardless of the situation, and I like Fluff and Stuff going with that early level 1 Plague Ward just to secure this lane for Boba.
And Boba, as you said, bailed out by his buddy. This comes down to exactly what we said was going to be key for Liquid. They just need to stymie Fnatic's early game. Fnatic is so dependent on movement from No-Tail, and they know it. I mean, they could just drop No-Tail back into the jungle and passively farm him, but they don't really have a lineup that's going to permit that if they want to have any real chance to survive the mid game against this Liquid lineup. They're going to rotate back to mid. Koikva already in safe position, though. So No-Tail continues to get very little done. Taking a look at Hani, he's actually in bad shape CS-wise, sitting at just 7 in comparison to the 20 on the old Dirty. Played by Koikva. Lift on top, Boba comes back down to earth and kind of gets a mean face going as he chases him out away from his own tower. So early on, Liquid doing the right things the right way, staying alive and just getting a farm advantage.
Any team that you ban Elder Titan against, it should be Liquid because, as Nahaz pointed out, Boba is just, he was really the pioneer of Elder Titan in competitive Dota, and I think they use like an Elder Titan plus Medusa strategy versus Alliance, and they beat out Alliance, and then ever since then, Boba or Elder Titan actually going to get caught out here.
ET caught out, and Boba will be our first blood. Fly there with
as I was praising his virtues, he gets caught out.
Even the pros are allowed to take a day off once in a while, right? Koikva.
Yeah, he should have been able to use a Tango, though. He was sitting at like 500 out of 700 HP, so it's like not in that range where you want to salve, but still in the range where you definitely want to use a Tango. He did have a Tango in his inventory, but you really want to be topped up, especially when there's 2 roamers about in No-Tail on the Chen and Fly on the Rubik.
At this point, No-Tail's not even roaming, though. He's basically just set up shop here in mid to help Hani out as much as he can, but that's not really doing the job. I mean, Koikva has to play a little bit more carefully, and we're seeing that. He maintains a very considerable CS lead, but it's costing Fly a lot. Or more importantly, costing Hani a lot. No-Tail is soaking experience. Level 3.5 at 5 minutes in is not horrendous for a Chen who has failed.
Bottom lane, Trixie. Oh, TC used sprint, but nice treant block by him to avoid the engage. Oh, he might get engaged on right now.
Yep. Trixie turned around, came back out,
for that.
ate it again.
But nice treant block. He blocked way too from casting that Frost Blast.
Yep. But, you know, Hani's the one suffering here. He's losing out on experience and a full level behind. Koikva on top of the farm, but No-Tail. And, I mean, look at Hani's inventory. He's got 500 gold, a bottle, and some brown boots. I mean, he's just really hurting a lot, and they're not going to end up getting a lot out of this pair. And you understand why. They're trying to just stabilize one lane that's losing badly, but they're losing out on so much roam potential and losing out on one of the reasons you pick a Chin this early.
It's not like they're actually stifling Boba's farm either. He has 24 CS to 30 on the Priestess of the Moon. So Priestess of the Moon has 30, she's on top. But in all 3 lanes, Liquid is winning out on CS. 30 for Sardar on bottom with 13 to Nice. We see 27 in mid on OD compared to 15 from the Alchemist. And that's with a lot of babysit from Fnatic too. Chen and Rubik have constantly been there for him. And yeah, Boba is doing fine on top. So this early game still going very well for Fnatic, even though they're behind on kills. The gold lead is actually still in Liquid's favor, even without the first blood gold.
Yeah, what it comes down to is Liquid is just flat out farming them early on, and not just by a little. The one bright spot is Era on Potom. with 32 CS now, but with TC doing even better at bottom on the Slarter. And behind that, 30 CS for Koikfa out of mid and 27 on Bulba. It's one thing for a solo lane Elder Titan to get some experience. It's another for him to get this kind of a start. He's going to be a huge contributor early on. And Hani wants to go on Koikfa. Will throw out the unstable concoction. Got a good charge on it. No tails there. And Test of Faith, a little bit of damage. And that'll
nice
do.
Fury on ultimate.
Yep. Actually, yeah, that wasn't Test of Faith. That was actually Nature's Wrath that did that damage. So thought maybe the animation just glitched on it. Nonetheless, Fnatic makes up a bit of ground.
They need vision badly.
Yep.
Liquid doesn't have any vision in mid, and Koikfa was like playing hyper aggressively too, like being up over in this area, which you don't really want to be in, especially when there are a lot of rumors about, and especially during nighttime. So now Liquid has kind of given up the gold lead, but still decently poised for the mid game. Slardar opted for the early Vanguard instead of a Blink. This will pretty much make him impervious to the Treant harass from Trixie. Trixie, he's forced to go phase boost though, because if he gets caught out by a stun, especially with a Lich there, he might even solo die at this point because Slardar is level 7. No points in Bash yet, surprisingly.
And we're beginning to see Fnatic's lane stabilize out. No Tail again has really just given up on roaming. Now just hanging out here with Hani. That one kill on Koikfa certainly just about makes it worthwhile. Koikfa is almost level 7 now, though. However, with that kill, Hani made up a huge amount of ground in terms of experience. And No Tail's actually getting close to 6, so that one kill can't overstate how important it was to make this investment of No Tail's time in the mid lane worthwhile. We can see Bulba has picked up his soul ring, so he's going to be even more spam heavy than before era with a Bassy treads, and he's got 1,300 gold on him. He might decide to go Midas.
Yeah, I think so. We will see. And now Nature's Prophet forced to abandon the bottom lane. He is on par with levels in TC, both of them sitting at level 7, but he just can't stay in the lane because he will just get dove on. And TP is most likely not going to save him because he probably suspects that TC has Bash, which I think most starters get at least 1 point in early. It is a value point. You get 10% for level 0 to 1 as opposed to 5% for all the other levels. So I'm surprised he didn't pick it up, but I'm sure he'll pick it up at level 8 or 9.
Yep. And in mid, we see a little bit more aggression coming out. Way 2 has rotated over. He's level 5 on the Lich, so the experience gain certainly quite good on Liquid supports for the most part. We can see Fnatic is actually leading in experience, though. So right now, very, very close game. A lot of it's going to come down to what Fnatic decides to do with their lineup. Again, the decision to invest No Tail in the mid paid for itself with that kill on Koikfa. Now it's just a matter of how soon they want to put him to use. Do they want to sit back and wait on a mech? If so, it's going to be a long time in coming because the gold gain on both the Alchemist and the Chen has been so absurdly low. Hani does have 1,700 tucked away, though.
Era is going for Midas. He already has Treads too, so he will have his Midas and Treads at 9 minutes. That's a pretty good timing, and a lot of people are under the impression that you have to get your Midas before anything else, but that is completely incorrect.
Yep.
Sometimes you just need the power Treads to survive, and that investment will save you on gold that Midas would have otherwise gotten, and opportunity cost from dying too. It's really important to not die early. I think that's the most important thing about about getting a Midas early.
Trixie going to be caught with a Bash. TP's coming in, and the lift might be enough. TC going to sprint after him. Trixie doubles back, flies there again, going to try to body block, and successfully do so, and only got Fly with that slithering crush. What a play by Fly to keep his buddy alive, and that, oh man.
He could have still gotten the kill. He could have just crushed him and then just went for Nature's Prophet too. I'm surprised that he didn't. He had sprint up still, but yeah, very nice play coming out from Fly right there.
And we're going to see a solo kill as Mirana drops Bulba's Elder Titan. So Fnatic, as bad as the lanes seem to look early, they've somehow grinded themselves out a 3-0 lead, and the experience has actually come back around. I would imagine, yeah, way into their favor after that. And the gold right at 0. So Liquid, who we thought would take over the lanes, really just has failed to do so. And Fnatic looking quite strong as we pass 10 minutes now.
Yeah, just a few mistakes here and there. Not having vision in mid. Slardar could have easily killed the Nature's Prophet there and gotten away with it. And I'm not really sure what happened top. Maybe Elder Titan played very aggressively on the Potom because Potom did escape with like 100 HP. There's immediate smoke coming out from 3 heroes on bottom.
They're going to move down, try to find their target. That'll be Fly. They obviously would like to find Trixie much more. Yep, they're going to skip Fly entirely. Go ahead and stick Way 2 in lane. They're going to run right into him. TC trying to sprint him down. There's a Sprout to block it off and using the Treants to buy some time for Moonlight Shadow. And TC got off the amplified damage, but unable to pursue him safely as he gets near the enemy tier 2. Bulba going to work now, has to be careful. He's got a lot of enemy faces beginning to roam in his direction. Check that, Hani and Otail. Gonna go ahead and double back, so nice dodge out there by Fnatic.
Yeah, Slardar really paying not getting that early blink, but it's really Trixie's nice force of nature micro that blocked him, and then they got the block off with the fly too, so maybe he should just simply invest in phase boots.
And here in mid, Hani and No-Tail has basically been sitting in Hani's back pocket for a while now. Trixie's going to TP in and look to add to the push. Doesn't have a Nature's Call to sprout Treants, but Hani has caught up very admirably. He's actually opted to get a minus. The mech will be built by No-Tail. Going to be slow in the coming, but it begins to look like Fnatic just wants to extend this game out and try to buy time to make Slardar. You know, Slardar not the best hero at scaling late, so it certainly makes tons of sense when you have an Alchemist on your team.
Yeah, Bulba almost dies to the Nature's Prophet ultimate too. He's really low from that and forces TP back. And Quakefly is not the right hero to anti-push. They need someone else there in mid. They probably need Bulba, potentially Venomancer too. And both of them are busy accomplishing other tasks. And we see Podden pressuring top too.
Oh, the stomp from Chen's Centaur. Yep, the send back will work. TC, as soon as he landed from the TP, was stomped by No-Tail Centaur. He is going to be able to chase down No-Tail, catches him with the crush, and doing massive damage. There's Hand of God, and Hani comes back to help. Koikva drops the hammer. TC will end up sprouted in, and now another crush. Does he have the damage? Off goes the Chain Frost. They will get Trixie, but they trade 1 for 1. Bulba eating a lot of damage off of that Chain Frost. And, or not off of the Chain Frost, but as the Chain Frost bounces. And now Fluff and stuff going to throw the Gale uphill. That'll hit Era and might have ended up saving Bulba's life there. He could have shot a Sacred Arrow, but he would have done so blind. 4-2, Liquid gets on the board as they end up trading Slardar for Trixie.
Yeah, nice delay, more like kind of forcing them to go up the hill and then using the Hand of God to buy himself a tiny bit of time. But No-Tail not level 7 yet, 13 minutes, and that's kind of troublesome as a Chen, but at least they have kind of handled the early aggression from Slardar very, very well. He should have like 1 or 2 kills at this point, but he is sitting at 0, 1, and 2 with absolute free far on bottom. But luckily for them, they do have other carries to pick up the slack. OD with Treads and Midas already, 13 minutes in, and sitting at level 9, he's doing pretty well. But on Fnatic side, we see Murana with the exact same build, Treads and Midas up. But Elder Titan, let's check his items, 329 gold, so no early mech out on him. Lich, no mech out either, so he only has 800 gold. So no mech on the side of Liquid will definitely hurt them, especially considering Chen's will be coming out with just the recipe.
Yep. And I'll tell you what's going to be disturbing if you're in Team Liquid shoes right now. There are 3 Hand of Midases out on Fnatic, and you have 2 on heroes that are known for their gold gain anyway, in the Alchemist and the Nature's Prophet. They are now on a timer, especially with Slardar, as you mentioned, picking up the Vanguard.
There's there's the Moonlight Shadow initiate.
Here comes Hani, and gonna throw that out on the TC. TC locked down, blown up. Will be lifted just to secure the kill. Bulba sprouted in, gets off the Earth Splitter before he does, but doesn't matter. Trixie in some trouble as he tries to retreat, eating a lot of damage, but Fluff will make it away. That's going to be a double kill, going the way of Era, certainly the hero they want, snagging those kills. He now has 2,500 gold in the bank if he wants to go straight up to a Manta style. He'll have his Yasha already out. Might grab the ultimate orb first. Nope, he's actually going to go ahead and keep banking that gold for a little bit longer. However, this could be the death of yet another tier 1.
That's a really sloppy, greedy support play from Fluff and way to not having sentries when you're pushing versus Nature's Prophet or versus Priestess of the Moon. That's just silly. Priestess of the Moon has been picked a lot too, and I mean they have to be aware of that.
Nice steal from Flies. He manages to grab Gale, and he's really been on point. He's stole Ancestral Spirit a couple of times as well. But tier 1 drops, and Fnatic now beginning to roll. And I am impressed as hell with the adaptations that Fnatic made in the early game to just stabilize what seemed to be a very, very bad situation. And now it's beginning to snowball out of control. Hani already has
3,000 gold.
Yep,
yeah.
exactly.
It's ridiculous. I don't know what he's going for, though. Like, he needs armor, so I don't know why he's saving up this much gold, too. Like, if he goes Radiance or something big, that is a terrible choice, because he's most likely going to get bursted down by Slardar, especially once Slardar gets his BKB. But at the same time, Slardar is super, super underfarmed.
And TC way too far out. will be caught out. Era's actually going to go ahead and leap and go after Way 2. He'll get the kill there as TC will be cleaned up behind. Here comes Trixie just to secure the kill. And
what are they doing down there?
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing. There's no tier 1 there, guys. That went down a while ago. And they just walked down and started to farm in very volatile territory. And now they're going to lose another tower because of it. And Hani, or Era, excuse me, is actually has his defusal on the way already. So Era is getting way, way ahead. When you take a look at the net worth tab, you can see he and Alchemist are actually number 1 and number 2 on the board right now.
Yeah, I think TC really just screwed the boot for them in this mid game. He still has 0 kills, and he had absolute freeform on bottom too, and he pressured Nature's Prophet. So just really nice play from Fnatic, first with that block, and then just constant pressure around the map, forcing TC to fight and often overcommit. And he's been working on his power treads for like the last maybe 6-7 minutes now, and that's really bad for Liquid if they can't get any items up on him. They still have the OD and they still had the Elder Titan, but losing 3 towers in quick succession like that is not the way that you want your mid game to go. 8-2 is a lead for Fnatic. It's still a very tenacious lead though. If they get a Roshan, I think they're very solid in their lead, but as of right now, Liquid probably just going to farm it back up, stabilize a little bit, as you like to say, get the power treads up on Slaughter, get maybe a 4-staff up on OD so that your Slaughter won't keep dying over and over, and then get a mech so that you can actually fight some 5-on-5 engagements.
I'm just having a hard time imagining how Liquid's going to be able to farm themselves back into this. 3 Midas is up on the side of Fnatic. They do have 1 up on the old Dirty. Quigfa stacked his not long ago. But I have a hard time seeing them out farming 3 Midas Gaming with 1, and actually it looks like they're going to get a kill down near the Roche pit. TC in some trouble again. We'll get off the crutch. There's going to be a Poison Nova. Hani down at half health. There goes the Chain Frost. Gets a couple of bounces, and No-Tail will be catching at least 1 more of it. And a couple of high-value kills there. They do end up picking off Bulba, but they do get 2 in return. At top, though, Era now split pushing out. So even so, they've managed to get things done across the map even while they were losing to. And yeah, this tower is actually going to be brought down to half health. But 3 Midas is up.
Does Rubik's Astral Spirit have natural order? I don't actually know.
I don't think it does. I think natural because I would guess not. I don't know for sure, but
oh yeah, it looks like it's 0. I'm clicking at the spirit. It says 0, so that's really unfortunate. He's not the best target to steal from, unless they want like Roach Vision or something.
Yep, that's kind of what I was thinking. Is I mean, since natural order doesn't appear on Elder Titan's Ancestral Spirit until you have at least 1 point into it, I would imagine that it just treats it that way. Basically, like there's no points into it because obviously you can't have a point into it. But Midas now up on Way 2 as well. And, you know, you understand the thought process behind it, but again, you're up against a Prophet and an Alchemist who are going to be able to outfarm you via other mechanics. They had their Midas up 10 minutes ago, and now you're getting yours on supports. It's just hard to imagine that this is really the way for them to get back into this.
Yeah, it's should be okay though. It's nice versus Chen, but I mean 500 towers are already down, so that part of the game is almost over. And looks like Rubik is constantly sending his spirit into the Roshan pit.
4-staff on the fly. Quakefight gets off the Astral Imprisonment. There's going to be a crush, but Fly 4-staff to safety. The stomp there to buy some time. TC toss back, and Hand of God buys time for Fnatic to set their heels and look to respond. Liquid knows it too, as they're going to go ahead and rush back to the safety of their own tier 2. In the meantime, Trixie has a 4-staff as well as another staff of Wizardry up. Looks like he'll be going with a Necro Book build. Era already with the Yasha and another 1,100 gold on top of it. Sacred Arrow shot out, a little bit hopeful, but not going to connect.
Yeah, they can't even get a kill on a solo Rubik and a 5-on-1 Smokey. That's how bad things are going for Liquid, and that's how well Fnatic is playing right now. And they have the 4-step up on Rubik, and the only thing that is really on their minds right now, they probably need to secure Roshan, because Liquid, they have Frost Armor, they have Amplify damage. Those 2 spells are sufficient enough for them to take out Roshan, and combine that with Plague Wards too will be pretty good for them, but they don't have a mech up yet, so if Liquid actually wants to take an engagement in there, it's going to be disastrous for them at this point. So maybe wait for the mech coming out on Lich. That's still going to be quite some time to come. I would like to see them get a mech first and then do Roshan, but Fnatic also needs to contest that for themselves. They have the Chen Creeps, they have the Nature's Prophet Midas, they have the Alchemist Acid Spray. They can take that down very quickly, and the AC complete on Alchemist. And yeah, he definitely needed armor. I don't know why he saved up 3,500 gold, but because it's very obvious as to what he should build here.
Yeah, it's TC's going to have his Blink Dagger soon, but really the starter pick just hasn't panned out whatsoever. And, you know, you're not going to blame it all on one item choice, but I feel like Liquid's ability to be aggressive hinges so much on TC's ability to land good crushes, and they just haven't had that. And really, at this stage of the game, he needs a BKB to really feel super
he needs
safe.
Blink, he needs BKB, he needs Treads, he needs a lot of items, and he should have gotten that a while ago, but Vanguard does not help you get that many kills early game, and he really didn't play it that well if he was going to go for the Vanguard build. He needs to like fight a lot with his team, but instead they mostly just got crushed in pretty lopsided engagements. So he could have just gone for early Blink, get like a couple free kills, or your Treads, get more free kills, and then there goes your Ogre Club, and then you don't really need the survivability from Vanguard since you just have a stout shield.
Fly leading a charge into the enemy jungle. Only one tower remains. That's the mid-tier 2 for Team Liquid. And don't know that it'll be remaining much longer. As the creep wave is pushing on, imagine they'll collapse back out onto it and look to make something happen. Liquid staying very safe, though, as they've made their way over to the other side of the map. We're actually going to see them go ahead and loop around and skip mid lane entirely. Fnatic continuing to have Arrow farm the jungle. Hani's going to go ahead and charge up. They're going to be able to catch Fluff. Oh, wow. Actually blows up on his face just at the last moment. So Fluff might get away. Here comes TC looking for a crush. And the Earth Splitter is going to be there. Will catch a couple, but it's all on the low ground. TC and Fluff in the meantime in trouble up high.
TC is so greedy. He could have got an easy stun on the Alchemist into a Earth Splitter, but instead trying to go for 2, gets lifted by Fly, and then doesn't get a stun off at all. So TC just not having good starter play at all in this game. Yep. He has a Blink Dagger, but it's sitting in base.
Yep, they're going to go ahead and call the GG off of that. And really, what else can you do? Fnatic just, I can't say enough. And, you know, it's not like they got totally rocked in game. Liquid certainly was way ahead by the time all was said and done. But in this game, coming out, stabilizing what seemed to be a very bad situation, and managing to translate that into such an unbelievably impressive 23-minute win just through good movement, good decision-making, and good play. We're all knotted up. Just like that, a best of 5 becomes a best of 3. Fnatic taking this game to win. And looking back, if you could make a change, like where did things go wrong for Liquid in that game, Merlini?
Poor play from TC. I think everything else was okay except for that. He just didn't capitalize on his early farm. He's their mid-game playmaker, but he ended the game with 1 kill. Could have easily gotten a few more kills. It was either the item decision-making or item build or decision-making. If you go Vanguard, you need to get kills early, or you can just get Blink to simplify it a lot. And he just got outplayed really hard by Fnatic too, with the creep blocks. And I also think that Fnatic played really well with the Chen. He was 0-3 and 6, but his movement around the map, he put a lot of pressure in mid, got the early kill on OD, put a lot of pressure on top and on bottom once they started 5-manning. So I think they should ban out the Chen or ban out the Nature's Prophet, one of those 2 heroes. So slightly from the draft, because Starter is not a good pick because there's no Weaver or any Invis heroes besides Moonlight Shadow, which crushed them in that one fight because they didn't have sentries. So go give TC more TC-ish hero.
I'll tell you a fun fact about No Tail's Chen. If I'm not mistaken, that was actually only the 2nd time in competitive Dota he's played that hero. We actually saw him play it the other time here in D2L play, and he's looked pretty damn good every time. Rana, played by Era, finishes up 6-0-4. Great performance from him. Trixie in that only 2nd time in 6.79. That's a very important distinction to make. But anyway, Nature's Prophet, 3-1-7. Trixie making the most out of that bad situation. Good bounce back from Hani, finishes 2-1-8. And Fly actually finishes fairly high level, given all things considered. 2-0-7 for him on that Rubik. 23 minutes, 9 seconds, the official game time. 13-5, the final kill score. And we move ahead now to game 3 here in this best of 5. I'm your host, Aaron A.C. Chambers. Thanks for being a part of the broadcast, guys. And our best of 5 is best of 3. Voice you're hearing on the other side, that's Ben Merlini Wu. We'll be right back here in just a little bit to bring you our 3rd game. But just a reminder that we're going to have more details coming out in coming days, probably through the weekend, about a couple of things. And it's certainly something a lot of people have been curious about. There is an item bundle included with our ticket in-game. And I actually didn't mention it yesterday, so I'm going to make sure I fit it in at least once today. We're going to have details coming out about that over the weekend as we get ready to launch a brand new website for our D2L Grand Finals alone. So look forward to that. Look forward to seeing all of you in Vegas. And If you happen to be in the Vegas area, January 7th through the 10th, you don't even have to buy a ticket. Just come on by and say hello to us. Myself, Marlene, we'll both be there. And, of course, our 4 teams, 3 of which have already been determined, LGD China, Vici Gaming, and Alliance. And these 2 teams now in a best-of-3 situation to determine which will join those 3 standout squads. This is the HyperX D2L. We'll be right back with Game 3 of this best-of-5. Stick with us.